Yo guys, what's going on? Hope you're having a fantastic day. So today we're gonna have a little chat about how to set up my new trench mod for the use in game if you want to use it. So let's get straight into it. It's gonna be a quick little video of just showing you how to set it up. Take it from being a little blue. Right down here you can see if we just quickly go to it, taking it from where it's blue like this and turning it into something sort of like this. Okay, so the way that we do this is we come over here, let's say for example right here, okay, because I've got a trench line right here, so I've got to get started on that. So you'll have all of these that I have right here in front of me. Your gizmos, this little gizmo right here, will just be a little bit more up to date than what mine would be. So for example, this one right here, the deep long 90 will be much more up to date. This should be in the middle somewhere. I try to make sure that it's nicely set up for you guys, whereas I don't mind really how it's set up for myself. But okay, let's get this started. So first of all, what you want to do is you want to start with an entrance first. Okay, grab this, pull it down. Actually, what I usually do is I put it above the ground so that I can like start lining it up. And the best way to do this as well is up here in the search bar. We're gonna do embankments, and this should come up right here. Okay, what we're gonna do is the inheritance properties of this material used on top of the embankment, that's what we're going to use. Now how we get that material is we open up the object properties, go into mesh object, okay, and then down here you'll see this little green icon or material. You're going to select this little magnifying glass and it should take you to where it is. Now you're going to take this, right click, duplicate to your project, and when you duplicate it to your project you can call it whatever you want. Okay, now that I've already got it duplicated, make sure you know where it is duplicated to. I just leave it as the default name, and it should duplicate to common materials, and it should be right under there. So under your project name, common materials, and it should be right there. I put it in, I just copied and pasted it into my trench pieces so that it is much easier for me to, well, place it into the material, into the trenches. Okay, so this is the best way, in my personal opinion, to texture things. Just, you know, it, unless you can make a custom texture, this would be the second best. I find custom textures sometimes mess up a little bit from my personal opinion or experience, but there are some custom materials that actually do work quite properly or quite nicely. Like for example over here, I do have a custom material set for this that I would like to start using. So anyway, I've got a whole video on the custom material things. But anyways, I digress. Once we've applied the material, I hope you guys saw that how I did that. I just dragged the material and dropped it in the materials. You select mesh object, select the object first, mesh object, and then drag and drop the material. Okay, and then what you want to do is do this. Now look at this on this side right here. Now this does happen sometimes. I honestly can't say why it happens. It just, I know that sometimes it just doesn't want to work quite well with you. So yeah, it's this is a little bit of a pain, but you know, that's okay. It is what it is. I don't know how to change that. But yeah, And what you want to do is you want to come here, start painting it. You can slightly paint it or fully paint it. It's really up to your personal thing. So when we spawn in, if we spawn in right now, we'll be able to walk straight through this. So we want to activate the collider that's embedded within this object. How we're going to do that is right click on the generic entity, add component. Now this goes for any model, not just my models, but any model that has a that you've imported and that has a collider. This is the same process that you follow for any model. Rigid body. Okay, you want to add a rigid body. Come down to model geometry, static, and I found that if you don't select terrain, the vehicles won't realize that it's the terrain, so they would literally, it would feel as if, well, it would look like you've hit a dead stop, and you would probably kill yourself at a certain speed. So selecting terrain just says that this is part of the terrain and vehicles can drive straight over it. Now I haven't played with the rest, but Ragdoll makes me. Actually, looks pretty cool, but I'll start playing with those a little bit later. But for now, we're just focusing on terrain. So we've got the terrain set, we've got the rigid body, the mesh object, generic entity. Now, I personally leave it as generic entity. I have seen that, well, you can change the class to static model entity. Personally, I'd recommend you guys do it, because if you add in the embankments, here, right, as we can see here, embankments, turn this right like so. So embankments, you can see that it's a static model entity, and now we've got our trenches as static model entities as well. And then we've got the mesh object, double checking on these ones. So next thing we need to set is the LODs. So they've got 3 and I've got two LODs. So LODs are just like I explained in my Blender videos, just from what distance to what distance, from what distance the model renders in. How do I explain this? So if we're at 200 meters, the model would just load in as a block. If we're at 100 meters, the model will load in a little bit more of a high quality model. And then if we're like less than 100 meters, we will load in the very high quality model. Now this can all be set right here in LOD factors. Okay, so going back to here, let's set the LOD 0 to, instead of 1, because we don't want to set it to 1, because that means if we come into here, we just hover over 1000, and then we've got 0 as a min. So we want to set this to 50 meters, because that's the high quality one. Now this doesn't have a lot of faces. If I'm correct, it may have, I think, what, 5,000 faces altogether. The second one is the same, so we want this to be maybe 100 meters. And the third one is about 400 faces, or 300 faces, something like that, 400 or 300 faces. And this we want to set is beyond 150. So we will be rendering LOD 0 if we're less than or at 50 meters from this model. Then at 1, we'll be rendering at LOD 1, we'll be rendering it at 100 meters. And then from 200, from an LOD 2, we'll be rendering from 150 and above. Okay, I hope I've explained that correctly. Because if we go here, we'll see that we've got 50, 20, 8, and 1. Oh. 50, 80. Oh, I may be understanding the LOD factors incorrectly. I'm not gonna lie. 50? 120? Or 20? Let's follow. I think I'm completely misunderstanding the LOD factors. Let's follow what the Bohemia did with their static model. Okay, for 1, it's going to be 20. So for 1, let's put that to 20. And for 2, let's put that to 1. Okay. For 2, let's put that to 1. Very odd. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, we've done it the way that Bohemia did it, so we shouldn't have any issues. Okay, Control S to save. Now we've set up the model, and now we need to take the model and turn it into a prefab, so that we don't have to be setting this up exactly the same every single time. Okay, so we want to set up a prefab. Now what we do is we go to our custom models right here, and we want to name it exactly the same, and it will create a blue entity down here in your resource browser. So what we're going to do is, on the left hand side, we see that it's highlighted. We're going to drag the object model, the static model entity, into the resource browser where we have our trenches. Drag and drop it in there. Boom. Enter new prefab name. So this is entrance, and it's all in capitals. Entrance right there. Beautiful. Now we can see that it's green and it's called entrance. And if we drag and drop it, it's a static model entity with a mesh object with our correct LOD set, and the rigid body as well, correctly set up. So now that means that we don't have to be setting it up every single time exactly the same way. And on the left hand side in the hierarchy, it will also be called entrance_1, okay, which is pretty cool. Now you can do this for all of them. For the 3 split, just drag it in there. Boom. Drag and drop it in there. Take it like so. Now I will probably, I'm not gonna lie, I will probably be setting up, will be making the prefabs for you guys. I thought it was just a good idea to show you guys how to turn the turquoise entities into prefabs. And this goes for any model in Armor Forger or in if you import it from Blender. This is exactly the same process that you want to follow. So just put it in there like so. Voila. Start painting it. And there we go. There you've got half and half a trench. And you need to, with these trenches, you just need to line them up. Try and line them up perfectly. They're not going to be exact. Well, I tried to make them exact as possible. But sometimes you might get a little bit of a, as you can see here, you might get a little bit of a seam coming in, like so. So holding down shift just to make the fine adjustments, like so. Okay. And obviously you get it. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this should set it up decently well. like so. And if you're running past, you're not going to be seeing the seams unless it's like a massive freaking seam. Then it's going to be seeable. But I try to make everything as little seam, or have it as little seam or no seam as possible. Okay, so that goes for every one of these. And then in the future, you can expect more um, trench like wiggle systems, like for example here, maybe cut in half or a turn, or this brought further up with more wiggles on the way, and so on. So you can expect more updates to drop in the future, but for now this should allow you to, well, not should, this will allow you to make intricate and complex systems like here, and definitely have some interesting combat, trench combat. So yeah, anyway guys, thank you very much for listening to the video. I hope this was informative, and like, subscribe, and comment. Join the Discord as well for any future updates, or if you're struggling with anything modding wise, we've got beautiful and amazing people in there, um, from beginner to intermediate to professional guys in there, that can help you with basically and mostly anything that you struggle with. So yeah guys, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.